Okay, we're going to review from on Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph, 12 lines from the bottom. Amar Abaya. Seif Seif Hakamis Akar Nachal Mishvata De'em L'Shvata De'Ab. Abaya is saying that we brought this pasuk that provides a prohibition on a woman marrying out of a shevet. If she comes from shevet Reuven, we don't let her marry to shevet Shimon at the time of the Yerusha of Eretz Yisrael. The Gemara asks that we had said on Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, we had dashed Hobas Yereshas Nachala Mimatis Bnei Yisrael. That's the pasuk which tells us about this isser of a woman marrying out. We had learned then that it says Mimatos. That tells you that this case is, we're talking about a woman whose father was from Shevet Reuven and her mother was from Shevet Shimon. That's the case. It says Mimatos, and she's coming from two matos. The Gemara is saying, in the end, if you're telling her that she only is allowed to marry, her father was from Reuven, she only is allowed to marry from Reuven, so now the Yerusha she got from her mother, this Esther, right? Esther is the woman now who we're saying she can't marry out. And you're saying her mother was from Shimon and her father was from Reuven. But by saying she is only allowed to marry into Reuven's shevet, the Nachala, the Yerusha she got from her mother, who was from Shevet Shimon, she's going to, it's going to end up now by Shevet Reuven. So the Gemara says, maybe that's not a problem, because you're saying that when she marries, then the Yerusha that she got is going to go from Shevet Shimon to Shevet Reuven. But once she yarshened it from her mother, it already left Shevet Reuven, Shevet Shimon. That means Esther, that's her name. She had a mother, Rachel, from Shevet Shimon, and a father. So as of Shevet Reuven herself, her father's from Shevet Reuven. So it makes her from Shevet Reuven. So it's already considered that to some extent, the Yerusha's look has already been transferred. So that's why we're not concerned. That's why we say she could only marry. And of course, we need someone from a different shevet. And the answer is this isser of a woman marrying into a different shevet, she's going to transfer Yerusha, is only when she's already, she's in position to be the Irish. But that case could have been where she had a brother, and therefore she never expected to get the Yerusha. And then after she got married, her brother died, and then the Yerusha fell to her. So, Gemara says maybe that's not enough of a taina to say that shekvar husba, since she already yarshened it from her mother, it's as if it's already out of the mishpacha. Maybe we still have to make an attempt, and we'll see there's going to be an eitz of how you can try to perpetuate the inheritance of that mishpacha. If you say that it's already fafal, it's too late. Once Esther's mother from Shevet Shimon already gave her a Yerusha, and Esther herself is considered to be part of Shevet Reuven, it's already done, and that's why we say whether she has to marry someone from Reuven, from Shevet Reuven, because whether we're concerned that her husband's going to yarshin her, or whether we're concerned her son is going to yarshin her, they're both from Shevet Reuven, and that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to deal with. But if we don't say shekvar husba, and she still has to preserve that her inheritance remain with Shevet Shimon, ki mitzvah le'echad mi mishpachas matei aviyah, if she ends up, if we require her to marry someone from her father's mishpacha, my have it. You're still going to have the problem that you're going to be removing from her mother's shevet and sending it over to her father's shevet. And for the Gemara, the masirvan the gavra davua mishvata davua. So the solution for this problem according to the Manda Amar that says that it's not already a lost cause, and we're 2 lines at the bottom of Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph in our review of yesterday's topic. So according to Abai, we still will have an Eitzah. By what you're saying, that what does it help? By forcing her to only marry from her father's Shevet, what she inherited from her mother's Shevet is now going to be transferred into her father's Shevet. We're saying it's not just that she has to marry someone from her father's Shevet. We force her to marry a man whose father, who has the same mixed heritage as she does. The man that she's marrying also has that his father is from Reuben and his mother is from Shimon. So then the provenance of this Yerusha that's then going to go to her husband will remain the same. It's going to be something that was both by the father and the mother. Will go now to another man who is also split between Reuven and Shimon. So the Gemara, the Gemara says that's unlikely pshat. Because when the Torah had first told us that the woman is required to marry someone from her family's shevet, from her father's shevet, it says it's it shouldn't say she has to go le'echad mi mishpachas mata avia. It should say mi mishpachas mata avia v'ima. It should say both. But it said the Torah only says that she has to make sure to marry someone from her father's shevet. So Gemara, no. The reason why I didn't say that, the reason why it said from her father's shevet, because the Torah wanted to make sure you realize something. If you had said that she has to have someone from both her father and marry someone whose parents are equally split, the same as her, it could be she could marry someone whose mother is from Shevet Reuben. That this man who she's marrying, he just has to have 2 parents that are from the same shvatim that her parents are. But you wouldn't realize that it has to be that the father has to be from the same shevet that her father's from, and her mother is from the same shevet that her mother's from. Let's say her mother is from Shimon and her father's from Reuven. I might say it's okay if she marries someone whose mother is from Reuven and whose father is from Shimon. Kamash Malan. That's what it's coming to tell you. That no, it has to be an exact copy. By saying mimate, mishpachas mate avia, it's telling you that it has to be someone who comes from the shpacha of her father, because everyone is considered to be from their father's. They are miyuchas after their father's shevet. So she has to marry someone who's going to be the same, going to end up having the same yichus as her. Also from that the father's from the same shevet, and the mother is going to be from the same shevet that she had. But the Torah doesn't mention that, because you don't want to confuse you and make you think that it doesn't make a difference which parent is from which shevet.
What the difference does it make which shevet her mother's from?
I'm saying her mother's, the wife of the husband. The problem is like this, right? We have a wife who has a parent from one shevet. We learn from Matais that she's a woman who has a father from shevet Reuven and a mother from shevet Shimon. And the Torah says she can only marry, it seems to say, you can only marry from shevet Reuven. So Gemara asks, the general question is, what have you done? You're still going to end up that what she inherits from her mother's shevet, from shevet Shimon, is going to end up being part of shevet Reuven. How have you helped matters? So Abai is trying to suggest we require her to marry someone who has the same status as her. It's also his father's from shevet Reuben and his mother from shevet Shimon. So he has the same mixed parentage.
So even her mother has to be from the same shevet
as his mother has to be from the same shevet that her mother was. And the reason why it says that, but Torah doesn't say that exactly. Torah says, it just mentions that it has to be from her. She has to marry someone who has who's from the same shevet as her father. Doesn't say anything about from the same shevet as her mother. The Gemara asks, why didn't it say that? And the answer is because we want to make sure that the husband that she's marrying, it's not just that he has one parent from Reuben and one parent from Shimon. It has to be the same format as her, because they're not equal, right? The father is a stronger yichus. So we want him to have the exact same, the stronger yichus on his father's side, the weaker yichus on his mother's side, and the copy is hers. And that way, the Yerusha stays in the same format as what it was by her.
Within the same two shvatim.
Right.
Right,
And not just the same two Shvatim, but that the father's from the same Shevet as her father,
right,
and the mother's from the same
right,
Shevet, which is a little bit strong on the father's side, a little weaker on the mother's side.
right.
Because the fathers do, that's where the real yichus is.
Right. It's just very, very, very tight shidduch bracket.
Yes, exactly. That's very true. Yeah.
And
Not helping the shidduch crisis.
And I mean, at some look, this was instituted at some point where the nation was already in progress. So I mean, you can't.
No, this is by the only by the door that came down to Eretz Yisrael.
Right.
This is what Menachem was bothered by yesterday.
Right. So you're gonna have
very
people,
little.
So you're gonna have people with a mixed background, so to speak. It's inevitable.
It's hard to find. This is what Menachem's problem was. He said that it's one dar, and it has to be only very specific circumstances. We're saying that the Rashbam back on Kufiyat Aleph explained how you could even have that his parents were mixed. Because why doesn't this same pasuk apply to the parents also, that they couldn't do it? So the Rashbam explains, he's talking about when they got married when there was no Yerusha coming. So at that point, the Isser only happens when there's an actual Yerusha that's falling to her. If there's no Yerusha there, then they're allowed to marry. So you have to be someone whose parents the mother didn't have a Yerusha coming to her, and that this husband, this prospective shidduch, also has the exact same situation where the parents were able to get married because the mother didn't have a Yerusha coming to her. And therefore there was no...
What happens to everybody else?
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's like once she uses up this guy, then the next woman's going to be up the creek. There's like probably one guy like that.
Yeah, so
it could be the Shvatim, but in general, kept to their own, right? Everyone lived together. They stayed together in the Midbar. They all lived amongst themselves. So maybe it was more natural anyway that they stayed together.
No intermarriage.
More than
intermarriage.
Right, of course they did. Yeah.
There were.
So by Nachshon, right? Aaron married
Yeah,
I guess maybe it didn't happen so much. Listen, this is a practical question. I don't have the answer for the shidduch crisis in 2024. I certainly don't have the shidduch crisis in the Bayar.
It's not even the shidduch crisis. It's you're going to have a situation where the mother's from a different shade.
Right.
So you will have a situation where the property transfers between shvatim, just because you sort of, this was instituted when the sort of in mid-flight, but there were already mixed marriages. So you will have property.
But later on, it's after the dar of the Bayar, so there was no Isser. It's only that dar. Because I think, because we wanted to be kaveya, which shevet is where. So we didn't want everything to immediately get transferred out.
Right. But I understand. But even that door, as soon as this was instituted, there were mixed marriages. So you will have property falling into other shvatim.
Yeah, well, like we said.
Avoid it.
No, I mean, it's I'm not sure what he said. Because this is only under these specific circumstances.
Right.
Well, who says this ever happened? Why are you assuming this naturally had to happen? Okay, we gotta move on because this is a little too theoretical, hypothetical. Tanya Besivas Habein with Tanya Besivas Habal. The Gemara now is going to have an amid. We're just going to say this din that that we require a woman from one shevet to marry within her father's shevet. We learned it out earlier from 3 psukim that all say this din, and some say the pasuk is specifically referring to the issue of her marrying someone and then her husband yarshining her, and one has it that the issue is her marrying outside of her shevet and her son yarshining from the shevet. But both of these different brises that we're going to bring are not really, they're both learning from the same 2 psukim, and it's just a question of which pasuk the mashmayis is from and which pasuk is the leftover pasuk, as we'll see. Tanya B'Savas Habein. First we say, where do you see Tanya B'Savas Habein? Like toss of nachal of Bnei Yisrael mimata al mata. B'sebes habeina kasam medaber. The Torah says you shouldn't transfer an inheritance in the Bnei Yisrael from one shevet to another. That's talking about the issue that her son is going to yarshin her, and he's from a different shevet. How do you know it's talking about the issue that her son will yarshin her? Maybe it's the issue is that her husband will yarshin her. When it says mimata lamata acher, that's talking about the sabas habal. And the Gemara on Amid Aleph is going to say how the mashmois of that. We're going to say different pshatim of how the mashmois of that pasuk is specifically talking about that the husband will yashin. Hamani mekayim le'sosav nachum ne'isol mimata al mata. So what do I do with the first pasuk? And therefore, we're going to be left over and say the first pasuk is talking about besibas haben, that the son is going to yashin. Tani, that's the first brisa. The other brisa starts the other direction. Le'tosav nachum mimata lamata acher. This is the second pasuk that the first brisa had mentioned. This brisa mentioned that once first. That is talking about specifically sibas habal. Atam bisabal enel besibas haben. Kshuayim loisasav nachum neisol mata mata resavas habam haben amar. Hamani mekam loisasav nachum mata lamata acher besibas habal kasam medaber. So again, they're both learning from the two psukim, and we're saying the pasuk that says the source of nachli mata mata acher is talking about the baal, that it's going to be yarshin by the husband, and the other pasuk the source of nachla minei mata mata is talking about the ben. And the question is, which pasuk do we naturally tend to think first is going? Which one is mashma first? The kuli alma mia mimata lamata acher b'zivus abalakasam. Both brises say that pasuk is referring to that the husband is going to yashin his wife and therefore cause a problem. That's why she can't marry him. My mashma. So where is the mashma? Is that's talking about the husband. Simin Amar Rabba Bar Shila. Some people take out this word Simin. Some people say that's an Amira. The Messiah says it's an Amira. Amar Kra Ish. Travayu Ish Ksivu. Amar Kra Ish. It says ish in the pasuk, right? When we talk about ish, that's talking about the issue that her husband, ish is referring to the husband. In fact, the other pasuk also says, had you help any matter? The part that he says referring to Ben, it also says ish. It says, he should be doivik. And as we all know, in Bereshis we say that a person is supposed to be dovik b'ishtay. Maybe yidvik b'ishtay. So that's a reference to a husband. In fact, the other pasuk also says ki ish benachas mata avoysev yidvaku b'nei Yisrael. Elo amarava amakra yidvaku matis. It says the matis should be doivik. So the yidvaku matis, that's referring to the husband. That's the first explanation of where we see that acher, the pasuk that says acher, since it also says yidbuku matis, that's referring to the husband. Ravashi amar amakra mimata lamata acher. Since it says uben la acherhu, it says she's going to be davak to a different mata. The fact that her son yarshins her, that's not a mata acher. That's her own flesh and blood. That's her own son. She's not going to look at that. That's a different mata, because that's really she feels very close to her son. But her husband, it would make sense to call it mata acher. So that's the explanation.
So what's the difference? What's the difference in the two different prices then? The Maisa.
It's just the mashmoyis. So the brisa that says that lamata acher, that is referring to the husband. That we know that. So then we say the other pasuk must be talking about the ben. The other manda amar, the other brisa says no. The pasuk that doesn't say acher, the pasuk that says leisisav nachlu ne Yisrael mimata el mata, since the son is normally the closest to yarshin. That's the typical way a person yarshins. So that would be the mashmoyis. And since the mashmoyis, the first mashmoyis we would say is it's talking about the son being yarshin, which is the normal Yerusha. The second pasuk is just left over it must be talking about the husband. So the question is, which pasuk is the driver of how we darshan it? But we end up darshaning the same psukim according to both prices. It's just a question of what's forcing us to learn it that way. There's no halachic that I can see distinction between them, because they're both learning from the same psukim. Amar Rav Amar Rabbi Yechon, Amar Rabbi Yana, Amar Rab, Umatu ba Mishmei Rav Yeshua ben Karcha. This is Minayin lebal she'ena noitel keroy kebemuchs. We've even though we've made ourselves very involved in how we know it, but in the end, a husband does yarshin his wife. If a wife dies, a husband inherits. But it's different than most inheritances. If a man has two sons, and one of the sons dies, Yaakov has two sons, Reuven and Shimon, and then let's say make it Reuven and Yosef, and Yosef has two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. But then before Yaakov dies, Yosef dies. So we don't say that the whole Yerusha goes to Reuven. We say Yosef is a roy. He's his branch of the tree remains viable. And his children, Ephraim and Manasseh, will yarshin in the place of their father. So it was $100 Yerusha. Will go 50 will go to Reuven, and 25 each will go to Ephraim and Manasseh. They'll each get they'll take Yosef's chelik. That doesn't apply to a husband. If a husband dies, if a woman dies and her husband is already dead, so his children will not take his place in the Yerusha of the wife. It's just this, it's like a way to look at it, it's just based on their relationship. It's a Yerusha that comes from the fact that he's married to her. If he's not married to her because he's dead, so then there's no Yerusha. So minayin lebal she'ena noitel beroy kebemuchsa. He doesn't get a Yerusha because where it's he's capable of yarshining, but not where it's let's say, or if she died, right? So she's no longer if he's married to her and she died, she's no longer around, and now her father dies, we don't say that the husband takes the Yerusha that would have gone to her. He only gets the Yerusha if she's alive. Shenamar, where do we get that from? V'shagav ha'ledes yor. V'hilei eser v'shalosh arim be'eretz ha'gilad. We said that Shagav had a son Yair, and Yair, the son, had 23 cities in Gilad. How did the son have a Yerusha that didn't belong to his father? We're saying the father, that he got 23 cities from his son. The father, Shagav, married a woman, and she died while this Skuv's wife, the mother of Yair, she died before her father died, and then later on her father. So her father, let's say, was Moshe, and she had died previously while she was married to Skuv, and then she died. So because we say that a husband does not get a Yerusha if his wife is not alive, it will pass right by Skuv. The Yerusha from Skuv's wife skipped by Skuv and it went straight to the son. And that's how he got the 23 cities. And we can make a similar drasha. Elazar ben Aaron, Meis Vayikvru, says that Elazar ben Aaron died and he was buried in Pinchas's karka, Pinchas's holdings. Again, how did his son have that which didn't belong to the father? Elazar married, as we know, he married the daughter of Nachshon, and this daughter of Nachshon, who was married to Elazar, died before Nachshon did, and then Nachshon died. And now the Yarsha Pinchas. And since we say a husband does not Yarshin unless he's currently married to his wife, he doesn't get a din of being the one to get maybe Roy. He doesn't get because of her potential Yerusha. He only gets an actual Yerusha from her. So since she didn't get it, he had to go. It skips over Elazar and goes straight to Pinchas. Umayva Aimer. Why do we need two examples of the same thing? Issa Umesa. Yarsa. Maybe you'll say Yair. The way he got these 23 cities was not from a Yairish that skipped by his father, who was from Beroy, and therefore came to him. Maybe he married a woman and she died, and he got it straight from a wife. Maybe it had nothing to do with coming from his own Yarshim, from his own grandmother, but it came from his wife that he married a woman and he Yarshim her. So we see from Elazar ben Aaron that it wouldn't have said the same thing twice, so it must be telling you this din. Maybe by Elazar it's talking about where again he didn't get it from his grandmother, and he didn't get it from his wife, rather he got it from someone. He was a kayin, and he got it that when someone makes a cherem to the bedek habayis, that it gets divided up amongst the kayinim, but that's how he got it. Amakra b'noi nachla ruyuloi v'yarshu b'noi. Since it says by Elazar ben Aaron Mace, what does it have to say b'noi? It's coming to emphasize that it was b'noi to tell you that that's how he got it, that it came to the son instead of going to the father, because we said the father is not able to yasha from his mother. Tana, b'nei achos v'loy b'nachis b'nei sas. We had said that a nephew can yashin, a man who has a mother who was the sister of a mace, he can yashin through his mother who was the sister. So the Gemara says, it says in our Mishnah, b'nei achos, only the son, but not the daughter. L'may hilchasa. Why is that the case? The case always is that wherever a son yashins, his sister's yashin also. The son has kadima, but they yashin equally. So why are we saying that the son yashins? Why do we say the b'nois achos legabi a nephew that he yashins? They're both coming mikayach their mother. So why should the daughter be different than the son? Amrav sheish lekadim lekadim. It's einachanam. That's what's coming to tell you. Just coming to tell you, the daughter of the niece will also yashin from her uncle through her mother, the same way her brother will, but just that the brother comes first. Tani of Shmuel bar of Yitzchak, Kameder of Huna, v'yarish. Where do we learn this din from? Out that says v'yarish. Makas Yerusha Shniya, Yerusha Rishayna. Ma Yerusha Rishayna ben Kaidim Labas, Av Yerusha Shniya ben Kaidim Labas. It's coming to tell you that when someone yarshins, when there's a son and a daughter, just like the original Yerusha, if you have a brother and a sister, the brother will come first. So too, if it's passing through, in this case through a sister, it's also going to be the son is going to come before the daughter. Tani Rabba Bar Chena Kameder of Nachum. Says the Torah says v'yoyim hanchila ispan. A person, when a person gives over the Yerusha, that tells you you only give over Yerusha by day and not by night. It's coming to tell you there's only a din Yerusha of someone who dies by day and not by night. That sounds absurd. All of a sudden everything's going to the government. The government's going to make sure they're going to keep them on they'll pull the plug the minute it turns night, so they could add to the coffers. Zak Gemara, no. Dilma din nachas kamrit. Zak Gemara, no. What it means to say is Dilma din nachas. It's coming to tell you the din of a nachla. The Tanya. It's coming to tell you that when you actually give out a nachla, it's not talking about when the person dies, but when the nachla is divided up. And it's a din, it's like any din Torah, dine mamanis cannot be started by night. They only can be started by day. The same will apply when it comes to dividing a nachla, dividing Yerusha. Three people who came in to Mivakar Chayla, and of course the guy was on his last legs, and he said, I want to give out my belongings. So Ratzu Kaisvin, if they want, they could write it into a star and then bring it to Besdin. Ratzu Oisen din, or else they can on the spot paskin who it goes to according to his wishes. They can convene themselves as a Besdin. Shnayim, but if it's two, Kaisvin vein Oisen din. If it's two, they could write, but they can't make a din because you need three for a dintar. You can't have two. So we see from there that the execution of a person's wishes, whether it's an estate or whether it's a shchiv meira who's like a virtual estate, it can be done. It must be done with three. There's all by this that you could say you have an option. If you have three people that you can make it as a din and give out the money on the spot, that's only by day. If it's three, even if it's three, you can't do it the entire night. Then it's a din. My time, they'll have Aiden. Why is it no, they can't do a din? Because if they say, we heard what he said, and we'll wait till the morning, and then we'll make ourselves dayanim. If they're not doing it on the spot, then they're becoming Adim. And then if they're Adim, they can't also be the dayan. So if they do it on the spot, they say, listen, we just now heard what you said, we're immediately implementing it. So now we're only dayanim. But if you're going to wait till the next day, then you're going to be an aid who heard it, and then repeating it over to yourself. You can't be also a dayan. That's taka what I meant to say. I never meant to say that you can't, that Yerusha doesn't happen at night. I meant to say that you can't do the din of Yerusha at night. Okay, shkoyach.